2025 has been a pretty good year for anime. I personally wouldn't say it was as good as 2024's crazy lineup, as a lot of what we got this year was mostly just continuations to anime people were already looking forward to, for better or worse. We definitely weren't lacking in choice when it came for what to watch, but while everyone was following Solo Leveling, Dandadan, Gachiakuta and the likes, there were a lot of other good stuff flying under the radar. And that's why I'm here today to bring you a few underrated anime you might have missed out on in 2025, and to help you figure out what to watch next. So without wasting your time, let's dive right in. Kicking things off, Netflix partners up with Studio Orange to give us Leviathan, a short series based on a novel of the same name written by Scott Westerfield. The story takes place in 1914 on the cusp of the First World War. However, while this world is very much similar to ours, there are a few differences. One faction, referred to as clankers, do battles with mechs and machines, while the other side, called Darwinists, use bioengineered animals designed for warfare. In the middle of all of this stands our two main characters, Alec, an Austro-Hungarian prince on the run from German assassins, and Dylan, a girl cross-dressing as a boy serving in the British Army. Fate would bring the two together atop the massive flying whale airship, the Leviathan, as they journey through a world on the brink of war and come to learn just what that really entails. Leviathan looks and sounds good. Studio Orange's stellar CGI work is on full display yet again, as they bring you an experience much different from what they usually put out. It's a pretty grounded story that gets you to quickly fall in love with its main characters as they maneuver a world that is about to drastically change. And while it is entertaining, I can't say this is an anime that will appeal to everybody. It's a bit of a slow burn with a lot of politics involved. Go figure, since this is based on World War I, so if that doesn't sound like your cup of tea, you might want to give it a skip. But if you are looking for something to shake up your palate, or you're a fan of Valkyria Chronicles, this one is definitely for you. Moving on from a grounded series to something absolutely batshit insane, Ninja vs Gokuo. Since the Edo period, there has been a secret war happening in Japan's underworld between the Yakuza and ninjas sworn to protect the people from the shadows. This war has carried on to modern day Japan, where two people from both factions, Kiwami, leader of the Gokudo, and Shinoha, one of the strongest ninja around, form an unlikely friendship bonding over their universe's version of Precure, ignorant to the other's true identity. You know, Miraculous Ladybug style. What follows is episode after episode of some of the most insane anime fights I've seen in a while. This anime is what people who have never seen JoJo's Bizarre Adventure think JoJo's is like. We've got guys outspeeding bullets, and people putting in full sentences after they get beheaded. There was this one guy who shot himself in the head and used his skull to ricochet the bullets to fire out of his eye. It's a crazy fun anime filled to the brim with campy over-the-top violence that'll leave you laughing your ass off after each episode. And at the same time, there are some great moments of storytelling with genuine heart behind them. Unfortunately, the animation is a bit lacking, but you can't help but respect the anime for what it's trying to do and how seriously it takes everything. Strange how a violent show such as this also acts as an honest homage to Precure is crazy. But that's anime for you.
It really has been one hell of a life.
From one story of a Yakuza befriending a high schooler to another story of a Yakuza befriending a middle schooler, comes Let's Go Karaoke. Satomi Oka, a young boy in his final year of middle school and the leader of its choir club, somehow finds himself coaching a Yakuza lieutenant by the name of Kyoji Narita, a man determined to get better at singing just so he can avoid coming in last place at his Yakuza boss's singing competition that has the loser getting a very painful amateur tattoo done by the very same boss. What follows is the two spending time after school at a karaoke bar as Narita sings his heart out trying to get better. However, beneath the surface, Oka struggles to come to terms with reaching puberty as his voice begins to change and sees this as the death of his passion. There are a lot of complicated feelings the young boy has to sort through, but through these coaching sessions with a surprisingly chill Yakuza student, the two of them are able to confront their insecurities and become friends in the process. Let's Go Karaoke is a coming-of-age story that covers themes of vulnerability and masculinity, wrapped up in a pretty great comedy. Sitting at just 5 episodes, it's an anime you could breeze through in a day. One sitting if you're unemployed. And it's honestly worth your time as it looks really good, with the music really slapping, which is to be expected since this is an anime about singing. Okay, so I'm going to break the rules a bit and recommend an anime that while it did air its first half in the summer of 2024, its second half concluded in the spring of 2025. That being Shoshimin How to Become Ordinary. Two rather eccentric high schoolers, Kobato Jogoro and Osanai Yuki, who have a knack for sticking their noses into things they consider mysteries, form a pact to help each other become ordinary people so as to not draw any attention to themselves and live normal, unassuming lives. From overanalyzing how someone was able to make hot chocolate without getting the sink wet, to solving a serial arson case, the two characters get into some rather unique situations that talking any more of would spoil. It's something I recommend going into as blind as possible cause man, this series really keeps you on your toes. And while you're done watching it, feel free to check out the video I did on it a while back, which you can find here. Gotta shamelessly plug myself somehow, you know. Moving on, still sticking to the theme of solving mysteries, comes Nosia. A bunch of fugitives find themselves stuck on a spaceship as they try to figure out who among them has been taken over by some body-snatching entity called a Nosia. Our amnesiac main character Yuri has to use their wits to figure out who the Nosia is before it kills the other crew members, with the only way to stop that being by having everyone vote the right person and throw them into cold sleep. The anime is basically one big game of werewolf slash mafia, or for the younger people watching, Among Us. But where Nosia different is that Yuri is stuck in a time loop, with each loop being vastly different from the last, from a different Nosia to entirely new people being added to the crew. It ensures that no two loops will be the same, which means Yuri has to somehow figure out who the Nosia is each time while trying to convince the other crew members to make the right vote or risk facing death one way or the other. Nosia is an adaptation of a visual novel of the same name, which might put some of you off considering how it's almost impossible to pack tens of hours of visual novel content into an anime, but so far it's been doing an amazing job with its adaptation as it doesn't make the debate and figuring out who the Nosia is all the focus, and instead gives us opportunities to learn more about the wide array of characters we cycle through each episode, while piecing together the overarching narrative that's being woven bit by bit in the background. There is a lot of effort behind this anime, as you can clearly tell it's trying to give you an experience different from its source material, and you'd be doing yourself a disservice by missing out on this. Next up, Tojima Tanzaburo wants to be a Kamen Rider. Technically a tokusatsu anime, Tojima Wants to be a Kamen Rider follows our titular Tojima, a 40-year-old man who grew up absolutely obsessed with Kamen Rider and longed to be a rider himself to do battle with the evil Shocker. But seeing as this was all just fiction, was forced to accept reality of it not being possible. What starts out as him putting on a low-budget rider mask to throw hands with street thugs imitating Shocker quickly gets bizarre as he comes face to face with the real Shocker. So Tojima, in all his excitedness along with some other Kamen Rider fans, vow to defeat Shocker no matter what, despite the fact that they're just normal people going up against superpowered goons, and occasionally actual monsters. This is a series that gives off the same vibe as Samurai Flamenco, an anime I also covered a while back, which you should totally check out after this, but doesn't reach the same levels of insanity in that anime. Tojima Wants to be a Kamen Rider wears its love for the Showa era of Kamen Rider on its sleeves, and it's really apparent from the get-go. Not only does it act as a love letter to that era, it also strangely enough acts as a good entry point into the franchise. Just watching these characters feel so strongly towards the characters of the Kamen Rider franchise will leave you really curious on why that is and make you want to seek it out for yourself. And if you are worried that you might not enjoy it as much if you're unfamiliar with the franchise, fret not as the anime does a great job bringing you along all the way. The only gripe I do have with it is how distracting the fan service can be. I mean, the boobies are like really profound and in your face. But it's anime, not a lot you can do about it, am I right? From one tokusatsu anime to another, the Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world. Asagaki Togo, aka Red, leader of the Banto Sentai Kizuna 5, finds himself transported to another world separated from his friends after suffering a massive defeat from the evil relationship enders. With no way of knowing how to return to his world, he becomes an adventurer using his Sentai powers to aid those in need. Joined by the genius maid Idra, the sheltered princess Teltina, and the hero with a princess complex Logi, their odd and unlikely party finds themselves on a quest to uncover a kingdom-wide conspiracy, put a stop to the evil demon queen generals, and maybe find a way to help Red get back home. The Red Ranger is an adventurer in another world is a series that plays a lot into the tropes you'd expect from an isekai, while mixing it up with a lot of Sentai shenanigans. It's a light-hearted series with a lot of charm behind it, and you can tell it comes from a place of love for Sentai as a whole. It doesn't try to be cynical or make an edgy take on Super Sentai, and instead understands and celebrates the medium wholeheartedly. It's goofy, funny, and an all-around good time with jokes that land pretty consistently and actually has a lot to say about the nature of bonds and how they influence those around you. It's one of the better isekai out there, so if you're feeling whimsical enough for it, give this anime a go.
The warrior of feverish friendship! Red!
Alright, saving the best for last, I bring you an anime I think deserves way more eyes on it as more and more people really need to see this series. I present you Sanda. 14-year-old Kazushige Sanda, a descendant of Santa Claus, finds himself caught up in a weird conspiracy surrounding his school as a classmate abruptly goes missing. Using his powers of transforming into a big burly man with an assortment of abilities, the embodiment of Santa Claus, he, along with his friends Fuyumura and Amaya, try to uncover whatever secrets is hiding behind his school in hopes of finding their missing classmates, with things only getting more and more absurd the deeper they go. Sanda, written by Beastars Paru Itadaki and animated by Science Saru, is an insane coming-of-age story that is constantly shifting its tones to talk about themes such as gender, body dysmorphia, and the perception of youth in a world where declining birth rates have placed children on pedestals with more social standings than that of adults. To put it bluntly, this series is insanely woke and handles its messages with such profoundness, you can't help but appreciate what it's trying to say. There is a lot to unpack in this series, something I plan on doing in a future video, so if that sounds like something you might be interested in, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on that. There is a lot I like about Sanda, from its soundtrack that remixes a lot of Christmas Carol songs, to its animation that goes really hard when the action kicks up. There is a little bit of something in there for everyone, and I can 100% assure you, you will not be finding a dull moment in this series.
I won't stop until I find you.
Okay, that will be all for what I think are the most underrated anime of the year. What about you guys? Let me know what you think about this list, if you enjoyed some of the anime I mentioned, or if I missed some you think should have definitely been on here. Would love to hear more about it all in the comments below. As always, this has been your very favorite slice of bread. Stay toasty.